From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Starting teachers in Montana could be in for a pay raise. That as Governor Greg Gianforte signs a key bill into law. Plus, there's now a way for teachers to receive their COVID-19 vaccinations. We'll have more on the Teach Act signed by Governor Gianforte in just a minute. But we begin with the governor's stop here in Billings. Flanked by Superintendent of Public Instruction, Elsie Arntzen, he made a visit to Elder Grove School, where the governor read to Mrs. James' first grade class. The two also stopped at the Lincoln Center, where they heard from parents, teachers, and administrators and touched on the importance of students returning to class. Both Gianforte and Arntzen touted the fact that nearly all of Montana's public schools have now gone back to in-person classes, which isn't the case around some parts of the nation.
It was interesting to hear the amount of work that went into making a decision about how to open schools, whether we should go with a hybrid or full-time or completely remote. And in the end, I think they made the right decision to have kids back in the classroom learning, because the kids benefited and the families benefited.
We know that remote world has not probably been the best world for some of our students, and having more of a normal implementation of education with a classroom teacher in front of you is the best way to go.
Now earlier, Governor Gianforte was in Great Falls, where he signed the Teach Act into law, providing school districts across the state a new incentive to pay teachers more money. But as MTN's Coulter Anstad explains, there's still work to be done before teachers start seeing that money.
With a handful of pen strokes and students and staff looking on, Governor Greg Gianforte signed Montana's Teach Act into law Friday morning in the gym at Sacagawea Elementary School in Great Falls. He was joined by State Superintendent Elsie Arntzen and State Representative Lou Jones of Conrad, who sponsored the bill.
It's critical that we have good teachers in front of our classroom, and they work very hard, but they're not paid fairly today.
According to the governor's office, Montana is last in the nation for starting teacher pay. In Great Falls, starting pay is about $36,000 a year. The Teach Act sets aside about $2.5 million a year from the state's general fund to give to school districts that increase starting pay to at least 70% of what a mid-career teacher makes. In Great Falls, that would mean increasing starting pay to about $41,000 a year.
It's exciting.
Great Falls Public Schools Human Resources Director Carrie DiTillo believes the Teach Act can help recruit and retain teachers. But there's a catch.
What our process now will be is figuring out the method in which to do that. So looking at what the revenue will be from this new bill versus what the cost will be to the district. And our process always involves working with our local teachers union.
A process like that is what Governor Gianforte says should happen.
I believe that local school boards should be making decisions about this, not mandates out of Helena.
The Teach Act takes effect July 1st, meaning teachers in the school district could see a pay raise as early as the start of the next school year. In Great Falls, Coulter Anstad, MTN News.
And Montana teachers and staff can now sign up for COVID-19 vaccines. That news today from U.S. Senator Jon Tester. The federal retail pharmacy program will provide vaccines separate from Montana's state allocation, which has not yet included educators. Educators can find the nearest pharmacy at vaccinefinder.org to make an appointment. And for a full list of local participating pharmacies, you can head to this story at ktvq.com. Well, Montana moves into the Phase 1B plus of its vaccination plan on Monday. That includes people 60 and older and those between the ages of 16 and 59 with certain medical conditions. Well, on the national front, a final vote on the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan expected sometime over the weekend. Well, Democrats still promise to get the bill passed and get many Americans another $1,400 in stimulus checks. Their hope for a $15 minimum wage took a major hit as 7 Democrats and 1 independent sided with Republicans to block an effort by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders to amend the Senate bill with that minimum wage provision. And one of those Democratic senators was Montana's Jon Tester. However, Democrats have agreed to maintain federal unemployment benefits at $300 per week and extend them through September. Republicans say that Democrat Joe Manchin is leading towards their proposal to end the benefit come July. President Biden also hosted a roundtable this afternoon saying that a vast majority of Americans believe the plan is essential to giving them some help and turning the pandemic around. Well, Saturday marks a grim anniversary for the family of 33-year-old CHRISTY WOODENTHIGH of Lame Deer. It's the day she died 1 year ago after she was run over and killed by a car on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. Saturday, the community plans to gather in honor of CHRISTY to share photos and memories with the community. The man charged in her death is out of jail and awaiting trial for involuntary manslaughter. He's pleaded not guilty. 31-year-old Jared Three Fingers accused of reckless driving and driving under the influence causing her death. He previously served time for a rollover crash that killed a 20-year-old Ashland woman back in 2012. That memorial for CHRISTY is set to take place at 1 o'clock at the old chicken coop in Lame Deer. It will include a prayer, and a speaker will talk about missing and murdered Indigenous women. CHRISTY leaves behind 3 children. All right, turning to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. And Ed, you've got a great example of why saying, "I can't believe my eyes," is literally true.
That's true. It's a really great picture, too. David Morris shot this picture off the coast of England, and you can see that it looks like the cargo ship is floating up and above the water. It's called a superior mirage, and it's caused by, you guessed it, the weather. There was a temperature inversion that sets up. Air that's colder is denser, and the denser the air, it changes what's called the refractive index. So it bends those light rays. So while our brain says it should be in a straight line, the object is actually a little bit lower. Give you a better idea of how this works. You can see at any time that looks like the pencil's broken in the glass because the water is denser and colder than the air around it. Same reason that we look in the bottom of the pool and it looks like those objects aren't exactly where they're supposed to be. Come back and take a look at the forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thanks, Ed. Today was a big day at KIRKS Grocery in Billings. Marked the first day of the community's very first community fridge. Now, the gallery downtown is known for being a location to host local artists, performers, and entrepreneurs. KIRKS Grocery partnered with Eat, Share, Give to provide a community fridge accessible to all. The fridge is stocked with ready-to-eat, nutritious meals and a no-questions-asked policy. Organizers say it's a step toward combating an issue of food insecurity, which is a growing problem here in our area. First Congregational Church will house another fridge open to the public, and 2 more will be set up at Riverside Middle School for students and parents. Eventually, the group will expand to a pay-what-you-can restaurant where everyone is welcome and can pay it forward.
About what we're planning on doing is that everyone can help. So if you can't pay for your food, that's okay, but if you want to help and contribute, you can wash the windows, you can weed the garden, you can help us in other ways, and those ways are just as important as the financial ways that other people are helping us. And that dignity that you can provide to people by telling them that they are valued and their work is valued is immeasurable.
This will be downtown in the former Commons 1882 building at 404 North 30th Street. Harper and Madison and countless other local businesses are donating food and beverages to the fridge. All right, still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2. We're celebrating 2 anniversaries, all while getting a Magic City history lesson. That story coming up next. And then in sports, March Madness tips into overdrive. Will it be a Laurel Central State Championship matchup? We'll find out coming up in just a bit.